How do you look at this statement? How do you look at this reiteration of the fact, if you will, that passport has nothing to do with your citizenship?
Not only the citizens who can get a passport, even non-citizens can be given in special circumstances. I really don't care too much about it because only 6.5% of the country has a passport. So most of India does not depend on it, does not have a passport, does not depend on a passport. So therefore, it does, to me, it doesn't create too much of a problem. Maybe this is the provocation that they have a NRC like a movement in their mind. But I think they should be quite upfront about it. They don't have to come in through devious ways because if we need a citizenship document, we ought to have one. I think that this is a missed opportunity. Aadhaar would have been in an ideal position to become a citizenship certificate. After all, the government machinery was going door to door. Yeah,
Hello and
I'm
welcome.
ready.
You're watching me, Sanket Upadhyay, on the Federal. The show is called AI with Sanket. This is the AI of news because news in India today requires not artificial but analytical intelligence. There's a lot of talk about who is a citizen and how do you prove you are a citizen. Among a well-known, and if you speak to anyone, they would say that one trusted document is the passport. That is a way of you proving your citizenship. The government now says, no, it's a travel document. It's not a proof of citizenship. Now, if you go by the books, the government may be correct because technically speaking, it is a travel document. Citizenship is governed by the Citizenship Act. However, what is the motive behind the government propagating the fact that passport will not do? So your Aadhaar will not work, your ration card will not work, your voter ID card will not work, and your passport will also not work as the proof of citizenship. So what will? That is the big question. Why is this happening? Let me introduce our guest this evening. We have Dr. S.Y. Quraishi, noted commentator as well as former Chief Election Commissioner, knows the Constitution, knows the law, and is a very, very clean-hearted and an open commentator on subjects. Thank you very much, Dr. Quraishi, for joining us. I want to ask you, how do you look at this statement? How do you look at this reiteration of the fact, if you will, that passport has nothing to do with your citizenship?
Yeah, although the clarification by MEA is correct, because by law it is only a travel document, but as you said, I'm also surprised what was the provocation for the MEA to issue this clarification? Who had asked for it? What was the occasion? We really don't know. So surely there is more than meets the eye, but be that as it may, the fact is that the statement issued makes it very clear that passport, which I was so far taken as the final proof of citizenship, cannot be taken as such by law. So that is it.
Now, Dr. Qureshi, you say that you are unaware of the provocation why the government would reiterate a fact. But the point is, conventional wisdom and wisdom on the street is that you get a passport of this country issued by the Ministry of External Affairs only after excessive confirmation by the police. You can't just get a passport like this, right? So there will be a background check, there will be all sorts of things. And the way they prove all of these things because of these tests is whether you're a bona fide citizen, whether you stay where you claim that you stay, and once the police is satisfied, then this passport is issued. So the big question is, does this thought not come to your mind? How do I prove my citizenship? What do I do?
Yeah.
Every other document which is common is not my proof of citizenship.
No, your point you raised is absolutely correct. But so far, even I, like all of us, used to think that since I have a passport, that is a foolproof proof of citizenship because it can only be issued to citizens. But actually, if you look deeper, it's not only the citizens who can get a passport, even non-citizens can be given in special circumstances. And I think the Tibetans in India although they're not declared as Indian citizens, but they are all given Indian passport. So therefore non-Indians can also get a passport like the Tibetans, if my presumption is correct. So, but you're absolutely right. A passport is given only to only after proof that you are a citizen, and so was the voter ID card. Voter ID card was given only to the citizens of India. A foreigner, even in Nepali, will not get a voter ID card. And 99% people had that voter card in their pocket. So that was a very convenient arrangement. Whereas even if passport is declared unfit for citizenship proof, I really don't care too much about it because only 6.5% of the country has a passport. So most of India does not have a passport, does not depend on a passport. So therefore, it does, to me, it doesn't create too much of a problem. It doesn't unsettle the given situation. While voter card, when that was declared not whether illegal or defunct, so that was a more serious step.
Dr. Qureshi, then the big question is, you see, from the government, I hear clarifications on what is not proof of citizenship. I do not see a big campaign or an awareness exercise on what is a proof of citizenship. For instance, if tomorrow there were to be an effort where I had to prove whether I am a citizen or not, I looked up the books, I looked up the various sections, and I figure that there are two solid documents which can prove that I'm a citizen. Number one, my birth certificate, and number two, a domicile certificate. Now, we all know that for a generation like my father's generation, perhaps your generation, uh, at that time, birth certificate was not something which was easy to procure. In many cases, birth used to happen at home, and nobody used to bother with a birth certificate. So, what do people do in a situation like this? And do you feel that a ground is being created to carry out a sort of a survey like the National Register of Citizens, and then perhaps a special citizenship card with a unique citizenship number, and a sort of a momentum is being built towards this argument.
Yes, you're absolutely right. That is the question which is coming to most people's mind. And as I said, what was the provocation? Maybe this is the provocation that they have a NRC like say, a movement in their mind. But I think they should be quite upfront about it. They don't have to come in through devious ways because if we need a citizenship document, we ought to have one, and I'm actually all for it. There should be a citizenship document, and it's a strange that we don't have it all these years. Now, you mentioned registration, the birth certificate as the foundation. It is actually the foundation for all the documents which you and I have mentioned so far, that they all depend on the birth certificate, on which basis our citizenship is established, and on which basis we get a voter card or we get the passport. So, since 1969, the registration of birth and death was act was passed in 1969, but the states took their own time, maybe through 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. But for the last 40 years, the this act is in operation. And in 2003, the in NDA's government of 2003, it was amended, and there explicitly it was made clear that all births have to be registered compulsorily, and there should be a population register. So why did that after 23 years it has not been done? That's a question. But I think the fact that it was attempted in Assam, and where the report came out in 2019, that Assam experience was a fiasco, because after 5 years of effort, the solid administrative backing, Supreme Court supervised, and what did it come out with? 19 lakh people who were found not citizens. For 12 lakhs of them were Hindus, Bengali speaking Hindus. That is when both sides who were in favor of, who were demanding an NRC in Assam, and those who were against it, both of them, they said that this NRC done in Assam is very defective, and which is why it is still in a limbo. So what has happened since 2019? Nothing. We spent 1,500 crores. So, and just to count 3.3 crore people. Here we are talking of 145 crores Indians, and you can imagine how much more difficult the task would be. Therefore, while the task is inevitable and it should be done, and I say it with the responsibility, and if it is pushed down the throats of the nation like SIR was, without preparation, without a clear roadmap, in very short time, I think that will be silly. My the stand is that there should be register. There should be a certificate of citizenship given, and all the six countries of our neighborhood: Pakistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Maldives have some say document of this kind in by some name or the other. While at the same time, there are countries like USA, UK, and Canada. They don't have any the citizenship document. So we are closer to the trio which I mentioned, that we are depending on various documents from time to time. So while we need to do it, but it should not be done in a hurry, as SIR was done. Maybe in the case of SIR, the compulsion was that elections were coming around the corner, which also to my mind was avoidable, because you didn't have to do it in that election. You have been conducting elections with the same voter roll till last year, and the current government has come into power with the same rules, and overnight that those rules become defective. That is a problem. Now, I would say that I have a solution to offer. That says birth certificate is now available to almost 60 to 65% of the population. For them, it is easiest to get a citizenship certificate, which means about 80 crores, 85 crore people can get it in 6 months, no problem. So, if we split the problem into two different segments, one is the birth certificate, which is available after the Act of 69, and maybe a few years after that. And for the elders like you and me, now you are a young man, for a person like me, to look for documents of 2003, 2, 4, and 20 years, 30 years, my father, grandfather, that is absurd. So, if the country can live without a citizenship certificate for the last 75 years, heavens will not fall if we wait for another 5 years or even 10. I would even say that just give citizenship certificate to those people who have a birth certificate, and wait for the others to move to their heavenly abode, and in due course in 15 and 10, 15 years you will have everybody with that card. Or alternatively, maybe it may sound cynical, but what I mean is it should have a clear roadmap, which should clearly underline that there will be no harassment of the kind which happened in SIR. People were made to run from pillar to post, from office to office, and even then crores have been left out. So that was not a model to follow, and I hope that is not the model they have in mind. And in the present situation, I don't know what the intention of the government is, because intention matters a lot, and there are always question marks on the intention of the government.
So, Dr. Qureshi, you've said a couple of things. You feel that if the intention is to bring in a citizenship ID or a citizenship card or carry out a nationwide register of citizens, then be clear about it.
Yes,
Do not
absolutely.
do yeah, just clearly say that none of these documents will work. We are starting a new process. And because you see, the problem is, Dr. Qureshi, that many of the government's own documents, there are certain websites that have listed out, government's own websites, which prioritize the passport as genuine proof of Indian citizenship. Now the
Yes.
government itself is saying that no, this won't work. So your two websites are saying two totally different things.
I don't think the government is saying that this will not work. Government has only clarified that passport is basically meant as a travel document, but since it is given to the Indian citizens or non-citizens in very special, specific circumstances. You and I are not non-citizens. Therefore, in our case, it is a proof of citizenship and it should be accepted as such as has been all these years. But as I said, there was only 6.5% of the population has passport. So therefore, the problem we have to look at the problem beyond the passport. What about 99% people? Which is when I say that voter card, which was only given to citizens because that was compulsory. It is written in Form 6 that I'm a citizen of India. All right. So the argument given was absurd and spurious that, there many people have fake ID card, many people have fake passport, and many people will have fake NRC card. So forgery is a crime. Forgery is another issue which needs to be regulated by the better enforcement and should not become the basis for a policy decision. Therefore, learning from Assam, what did we achieve after 5 years with Supreme Court supervising? Let us get an answer from the government on that first. And then what is the harassment which we got in SIR for which the government will not give an honest answer because they are defending it and Supreme Court has given them the protection. Therefore, but at the same time, these are the issues which cannot be wished away. They are real issues. They need to. We have to learn from both these issues and come out with a clear roadmap which will lead to the least harassment very smooth and the easiest difference, as I had mentioned, that the SIR had to be done immediately within a month or 2 months, 3 months because of the election. There is no such hurry in the case of a citizenship certificate. After all, we have been living without citizen certificate without even knowing that we don't have a citizenship certificate for the last 75 years. So another 5 years, another 7 years, 10 years. What difference does it make? So may do it leisurely, do it by all means. I'm supporting it, but do it in a dignified way and not the way it was done earlier, not in the way SIR and Assam was done.
This is a very important point. You're saying that if the purpose is to carry out or bring about, and I saw some tweets from representatives of the government who seem to suggest that this is the way forward. So, first of all, there has to be utmost clarity that we are going ahead with this NRC and a citizenship card. Now, the problem, Dr. Qureshi, as you very rightly mentioned, uh, is that there is a tendency for people to acquire these documents through fraudulent means, and these documents are also fraudulent. So, if there was an Aadhaar card initiative which was spread beyond its original purpose of providing benefits to the beneficiaries, and it was mandatory for all, the idea was to somehow convert Aadhaar card into a sort of a national document with a unique number. There were allegations of it being used fraudulently and procured fraudulently, passports procured fraudulently, uh, even your voter ID card procured fraudulently. See, your system has not changed. So, what is the guarantee that this National Register of Citizens and eventually a citizenship ID card will also not be fraudulently procured? So, then you're
Sanket,
not really solving a problem, you're just making people stand in lines again.
yes, Sanket, what you're asking is exactly what I've already answered, exactly in these words. That fraud can be committed on anything. Forged document can be created anytime. That's a crime. And NRC document can also be forged on the basis because some forged Aadhaar, forged voter cards were found for that. All of them were thrown into the dustbin. It was absolutely a wrong decision, mischievous decision, and foolish decision. And we are many people, not all, but many people who were left out, and there are in millions who were deleted. They are facing the consequence and the kind of harassment it caused to very poor people. They were made to run from pillar to post. So, whereas the other issue which you raised was about Aadhaar. I'm surprised that when 2019, 9 to 2016, Aadhaar was being introduced and was being created. Um, I think that this is a missed opportunity. Aadhaar would have been in an ideal position to become a citizenship certificate. After all, the government machinery was going door to door. They were collecting our biometrics, which will be collected by NRC also. Everything, our fingerprints, our iris. So, what is it that held them back from making it a citizenship proof? And they say this is only a proof of identity and residence. Why? Why did they keep away from making it a citizenship document? And the argument given was, that we are doing it only to make sure that the people beneficiaries of welfare schemes do not misuse it, and there are no duplicates. So that could have been checked with more scrutiny, a better administration, then just pushed into the corner, set aside. And now we'll have to go through the same Aadhaar exercise, type exercise, SIR type exercise, and keep on adding to the harassment of the citizens, because the system has become very insensitive to the harassment of the people. And in fact, in some cases, the harassment, in the case of certain sections, the harassment may be the intention.
Very important. I would then want to leave this conversation on the solution that you have provided, Dr. Qureshi, which seems to be a very cogent argument. You are saying, by all means, go ahead and carry out a citizenship counting exercise. Census is going on, so it can very well be done uh, along with the census. However, you say that you divide the problem and conquer. So, all those people who can provide their birth certificate, you give them a citizenship card automatically, because that is a sure shot proof of your citizenship. And then for all those in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, you just let them be. You just let them be. Don't insist on their citizenship card, because eventually they won't be here long enough, as sad as it sounds. But
Yes.
you think that will solve the problem?
Yes, that is my solution. I mean, and what could be the problem with that? Let somebody point out to me. But prima facie and on top of my head, this seems to be the solution, because birth registration, since it has been compulsory for the last 40 years, and as I said, about 65% people have that birth certificate. So 65% people can be given this the certificate of citizenship is straight away without any problem in 6 months, maximum 1 year. So you start with the something which is easy, which is doable, and do it. And for the others, since they will have to dig out the old document, it will, instead of harassing them and pushing them into a corner, do it leisurely, do it in a planned manner, with a clear roadmap, with least harassment.
My final question, Dr. Qureshi, why do we need a citizenship card? I mean, we're living in, as you said, that for the past 70 plus years, this country has worked well without a citizenship card. So the biggest question is, why do we need one?
Yeah, good question. Maybe because the Citizenship Act also for the 2003 amendment for the first time brought in the term illegal immigrant, because just as SIR was started in the name of identify illegal immigrants, this exercise probably also has that thing in mind. Now, illegal immigrants, there are other ways of identifying them, finding them where they are, instead of just going harassing 99.9% people just to find a few hundred, a few thousand. So, for instance, BLO comes to your house with the electoral Sanket. These are the 5 voters in your house. Is that correct? Yes. And go to the next house. But if the idea was to find illegal immigrants in Sanket's house or Qureshi's house, the next question will be: is there anybody else besides these 5 in your house or in your neighborhood? And you will always say, "Okay, look, in my neighborhood, I have seen a new face for the last few years. Maybe you need to investigate that." Neighbor is always the first to complain. It is the neighbors who have filed maximum Form C applications for deletion. So this same exercise through summary revision, which had been the practice of Election Commission for the last 20 years, they could have easily done it. But they chose a very the nasty route, and from the consequences of which the country is still suffering.
Dr. Qureshi, why can't voter ID card itself become a citizenship card? Because it is
Yes,
very clear, no, you can't vote unless you are a citizen. So that is the
yes,
first
that is
condition to voting. So then you can
that,
clean
that
up your electoral rolls, and if in due course, if the cleaning up and good, smart cleaning up, not shoddy SIR way of cleaning up, is done, then you're automatically solving this problem.
Yes, absolutely. That is exactly what I said. That says 99% people had got their voter card, and it is given only to Indian citizens, whereas some Nepalis, some Bangladeshis may have got it fraudulently. To check that fraud, you don't harass 99%. You only look for those people who may have got it fraudulently, and there were better ways of doing it. So at least now, I don't know whether the government will feel that they burnt their fingers, but I think they have. At least the next step they take, they should not do anything hasty. And voter card is the best way to move forward. Clean up the voter roll for sure. That is the obligation of the constitutional mandate of the election commission. That is the duty and responsibility, and it was being done all these years. It's not that the first time we have a brilliant election commission which is dealing with the problem. Till last year, the year and a half, the same election commission, as I mentioned, conducted the election and brought this government into power. Then electoral roll were fine. So actually, they are quite fine. Only there were, well, there are some people who are died, who are dead, and they have not been removed because nobody bothers. The dead man will not come and report to you that I'm dead, please remove me. So nobody bothers, so therefore it continues. Now, by going door to door, this could be done a little more forcefully, removing the dead voters, but that is not affecting the quality of the election because that dead voters are not coming as bogus voters. Then there are duplicate voters. And that also is not entirely mischievous because if you are transferred from one place to the other, automatically the now you will most cases people will forget to inform that or get the previous voter card cancelled. In fact, in our time, till then, the rule was that it was the onus was on you. If you are moving from here to Mumbai, you will have to get it deleted from Delhi and get yourself added in Mumbai. Now, our philosophy was totally different, was to make it inclusive. So we said, "Okay, look, we don't want to harass you. Don't go back to Trivandrum to bring that certificate of cancellation. Just inform us where you're applying on Form 6 as a new voter. Please just write at the bottom that this was my previous address, and we will get it done ourselves." So that was to clean up the role without harassing you. So here the onus was entirely on you. Run around, get it deleted. So they even therefore duplicate voters are not entirely bogus voters. They are duplicate because they are registered in two places. Because of carelessness of the system or inefficiency or of the voter because they didn't.
Yeah, all right. Thank you very much, Dr. Qureshi, for your time. And I think you really put the whole problem in perspective and offered some really, really good solutions, if in case somebody is interested in good solutions, that is.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Dr.
Thank
Qureshi,
you.
for joining us.